Hello and welcome to Let's Talk Sports. I am Ralph LaBella.
And I'm Ron Sen. Well, where do you start? How about Cleveland football? They managed to beat their nemesis, the Pittsburgh Steelers, and come out losers in the process. Seems like a total lack of control as Myles Garrett gets suspended for the rest of the season, postseason, and who knows how much more for taking his helmet off and swinging it as a weapon at Mason Rudolph, the Steelers quarterback. I haven't seen anybody trying to defend it anywhere.
No, that was a dumb play, and that hurts us, the Patriots. Not as much as the Browns, but the Browns play Baltimore at home. And then the key to that game is going to be the line, how they control the running game of Baltimore, and he's going to be out. So that's what I was thinking about when I saw it.
Yeah, and Baltimore's looking really terrific right now. Things can change in a heartbeat as far as injury, especially injury, or suspensions, as we find out now. The other big story of the week is the Houston Astros 2017 version, which does include members of the Red Sox coaching staff, is under investigation for high-tech sign stealing that the Astros may have used, as they have a phenomenal home record above and beyond anybody else. And why are they so good?
Is that the year they beat the Yankees? When the Yankees were up 3-2 and they went back to Houston, and Houston beat them the sixth and seventh game.
I think they beat them that year.
I think if that's the year, that's pretty bad because the Yankees have momentum. They go back to Houston, all of a sudden Houston's hitting the ball.
Well, and if you look at the fines, MLB handed out a $2 million fine to the Cardinals for hacking into the Astros scouting system and took away 2 first-round draft choices from them. And I would think if they get found guilty of that, then the Astros would be fined at least as much.
How stupid are these people? It goes back to what I said in sports. The higher-ups, all they care about is winning and nothing else.
Well, what can you say? Antonio Brown, former Steeler, former Raider, former Patriot, came out and apologized to the Patriots and Robert Kraft for basically being a pain in the backside. I'm not sure whether that's in a prelude to some sort of NFL commissioners meeting saying, I'm really sorry, I'm not really a bad person, please let me play again.
I hope they do. I'd like to see him come back.
Well,
who cares on what he's done? And I think things are getting straightened out. I think the lawsuit, they dropped that.
Yeah, well, we'll get back to the Patriots, but they've got some issues. And then Alabama star quarterback Tua Tagovailoa, who was projected to be the number 1 draft choice in the NFL draft, injured his hip with a broken socket, sounds like, and a dislocated hip. So it's pretty hard for me to imagine anybody taking him with the number 1 pick or even a top pick in the first few until they see that he can play. So I wonder if he's going to have to go back to Alabama, whether he wants to or not.
Yeah, he might think, knowing that, if he goes back there and he has a real good season, he'll be the number 1 draft pick in 2 years. But I wouldn't take him as a number 1 draft pick even before he got hurt. I don't like the way he winds up when he throws the ball. He's a great quarterback in college. I don't think he's going to be a great quarterback in the pros. He doesn't run like the other guys do.
No, he's very accurate. He's not as good a runner.
And he's smallish, Well,
we'll see. But the issue comes, how much money do you lose? I think even if you're the top pick, you're looking at, they sign you to a 5-year deal and it's tops probably $50 million, which is, I'm not sneezing at $50 million. That's a lot of money.
I just hope he can play. Early on they didn't know, but I hope they say he should be able to play.
Right. Bo Jackson had a dislocated hip and ended up getting something called aseptic necrosis of the hip from compromised blood supply to the hip and had to have a hip replacement. So you just never know when people have these big hip injuries. Isaiah Thomas is back playing, but not at the same level he was playing before.
He looked good against the Celtics.
Yeah, he was okay. What do you have, 18, 19, something like that?
He looked very good.
So the player efficiency ratings are interesting. It's kind of a overall assortment of statistics that you get into a single number. and it's almost averages to like a points per game value. And the top player in the league is the Greek Freak, not surprisingly. The Celtics top player is Kemba Walker, who was number 19. And I don't think I wrote it down here, but the number 2 player rating at number 29 in the ESPN performance efficiency rating, you'll never be able to guess who it is after Walker.
After Walker and the Celtics?
Yeah.
Tatum.
Well, believe it or not, it's Robert Williams. Probably because he gets a lot of blocks and rebounds, and he doesn't miss a lot of shots because he only takes dunks.
He hasn't played well his last couple of games, though.
No. And then in the 3, 4, 5 range, the 3 players alphabetically are Brown, Tatum, and Wanamaker. And you'll be surprised that in order of efficiency, it's Brown, Wanamaker, and Tatum. So Tatum had that one really bad game, that 1 for 18 game, and I don't know how much that cost.
Well, the thing with Tatum is he's taking a lot of shots. So his efficiency isn't that great. He's scoring the points because he's shooting a lot. You know, it was not only that game. I mean, he's had games where he's gone 8 for 22 and he scored 22 points.
Well, I heard an absolutely amazing 30 for 30 podcast today. It was done a little while ago with Sue Bird and Diana Taurasi. And they were talking about their experience. They graduate from UConn. Bird is the number 1 draft choice. And she says, "You're going to pay me $45,000?" She said, "The janitor is going to make more money than I am." And so she said, basically everybody goes and plays in Europe. So the first contract she got in Europe, I think she said in Russia, was $200,000. But she said that's good money. But then they got recruited by this guy, Shabtai Kalmanovich, who was a Russian billionaire. And they said, this guy's really generous. Like, we go first class hotel. He says, why don't you live in this house? And they described it as a mini mansion, but they said it wasn't that mini. So they're living in this mansion. He gives them a credit card and says, just buy whatever you want.
Wow.
So they go to a store and she's like, there's Coach bags. We walk out with like 20 Coach bags. And she says, should I be spending $3,000 on a bag? And she's like, I guess so. So they're getting paid a fortune. They win 4 consecutive EuroLeague titles for Spartak. They also got a player named Jackson from Australia, big girl, who's like 6'7".
Oh, I know her.
Yeah,
the blonde?
Yeah. So anyway, she said
Played for
they're unbeatable. Okay, well, it's the end of the season, the 4th season where they're going for the championship, and they go into the meeting to meet with the owner, who's not a basketball guy. He doesn't, he's a rich guy who likes basketball. And the secretary says, no, you can't see him. And she says, what do you mean you can't see him? Well, it turns out the guy's dead. He's shot, like he's, killed gangland style in a car. And, they see pictures of the bodies bullet riddled.
Wow.
So he basically, they didn't say he was mafia. They just sort of said he hung around with a bunch of people who were mafia. So they said after that, you start worrying about your safety. And I mean, it was just amazing. So they were thankful for the experience because the guy treated them like they were his daughters. One player on the team he got married to, so I guess it wasn't exactly like daughters. But it's just phenomenal where you look at these star American players who say, we never got treated with any respect till we went overseas. And then we got treated as celebrities and got paid.
Even now they're not getting paid well.
No. So.
No. What's Shea Petty getting when she was signed? Was it 60-something thousand?
Well, I think the mean salary, average salary in the WNBA is like $72,000. And they have salary caps, so nobody's making super big money. I mean, I get it. The attendance isn't the same, smaller number of games in a season, but the big money is overseas, which we've heard that Shea's been fortunate enough to appropriately cash in on that. Well, Melrose football goes to the Super Bowl. It said for the second time in 3 years. Isn't it the third time in 4 years? I don't know. I can't keep track anymore.
Yeah, it might be. I know they won it 2 years ago. And I think 2 years prior to that, they
Or
lost.
3 and 5, because Mike Pedrini is a junior at Tufts. They lost when he was on the team.
Right.
And I remember Jen Gentili saying, well, boy, when Pedrini graduates, then the dynasty is going to end. And it's only gotten stronger since then, not just because of the great development in coaching and obviously the kids.
Well, they got one of the top 5 programs in the state, Melrose. You go by the last 10 years, they're definitely one of the top 5. Right now, they're rated number 5 in the state.
Yeah, on Max Preps, they're ranked 5. That's the Max Prep computer poll. Catholic Memorial is number 1. DiBiaso must have known what he was doing there.
St. John's is
St.
too.
John's is
Mansfield.
up there. Mansfield is right. Mansfield went to Ohio, I think, to play somebody at the beginning of the year.
And Central Catholic is 4th. Are they the other Catholic team?
I think there was St. John's of Shrewsbury was in the top 5 too. But Melrose is a terrific team, and you were at the game. I was at a wedding at Duke, literally on campus at Duke. But I'm probably the only person in North Carolina who's following the game on Twitter, and looking at Jen Gentili's Melrose Weekly posts. But I mean, Melrose just blew out an undefeated Revere team. How else can you say it?
It's funny, they won 41-7, but Revere wasn't that bad.
No,
Melrose played a really good game. Early in the game, Revere was causing problems for Melrose on the ground. They were running the ball well. They were going with counters. But I said, Melrose is going to adjust to this. They had 2 real good runs on counters. So Melrose adjusted to it, played real good defense, got a couple of breaks defensively. But I'll tell you, that offense with Cusalito.
Well, right. The 3 things that carry Melrose, number 1, fundamentally, they block, they tackle. I mean, good teams do that.
Well coached.
Number 2, a lot of big plays. The big plays in both the passing game and the running game. Cusalito had a long scoring run and a long scoring reception. And then number 3, they avoid bad football. And Revere got down into the low red zone through an interception. Then later on, they were stopped, a bad snap. The punter had to scramble to get it away. It was blocked. And then still later, another interception. So Melrose has avoided bad football. And that's so important in being consistent.
Yeah, and the good thing about their game is they can pass the ball and they can run the ball. But they have the superstar in Cusalito. He's in all the years I've been watching Melrose, great running backs over the years, he's right up there with the best. I think he's so shifty when he runs the ball. He sets up, he cuts on a dime, and then he explodes off the cut.
Right, he's got the cut back, and he's got really good speed. Although, obviously they've had a lot of good running backs in the past. Certainly Mike Pedrini, outstanding. Isaac Seed, outstanding. Who are we forgetting?
There's a lot of them.
Oh, yeah, there's been a lot of them.
I go back to Troy years ago. He was an end.
I think he was really good at running back.
Is that his brother that's on the team?
I don't know.
There's a junior, and I think the name is Hickey, number 34, plays inside linebacker too.
I think it's Bill. Yeah, it's sort of this.
He is going to be unbelievable next year. I'm telling you, he ran one time. They had him run in the 4th quarter. I think it was around the 30-yard line. They hit him the ball. He's so strong, too. He just blew through the hole.
Well, right.
I mean, he's quick.
And you always end up not naming enough people. We can name lots of people who have been in. Brendan Fennell's fantastic. He runs the ball. He's very accurate passing the ball. He takes care of the football, makes good decisions.
Pesci's good.
Yeah, Pesci's really good. Sean Herbert.
He's real quick.
The guy who's always open.
Well, they have him in one cornerback, right cornerback. They have Cusalito at the left cornerback. They have a sophomore at free safety.
Well, Melrose had a couple other near interceptions that would, at least one would have been a pick six if he held on to it.
I don't know. I didn't think he was. He knew he was really looking at the receiver, and then the ball just hit him in the stomach. It was wide open. But what a game he played, though. The whole team played great.
Right. Obviously, I don't know the names of all the linemen, and they deserve a lot of credit because they're in the trenches doing the dirty work that helps. Unusually good pass blocking for a high school football team. I mean, and it's not like they got 300-pound offensive linemen like Everett, So
they're big, though. They're big, and I think their biggest lineman's a junior. But I count. They have 11 sophomores on the team, and either 16 or 18 juniors on the team. And they're going to be good again next year.
Sure.
I mean, they're going to have a great runner. I know that. I can tell you that right now with Hickey. They're going to be a tremendous ground team. I don't know who the quarterback will be, but that coaching staff does an unbelievable job with them.
They do, and what can you say? The record is the proof.
But you look at them, right? And we love all the sports, but there's something about football. Football's in it. All the other sports are really good, but football's up here.
Right. People can rally around a football program more than they can probably any other program. In 1970, growing up in Wakefield, the football team won the state championship. They raised money and sent the football team to Bermuda.
Wow.
Can you imagine nowadays sending a football team on a foreign vacation? High school. I mean, that's incredible. But and in fact, the star player from that team, John Rafferty, is the varsity coach in Wakefield these days. Which of course brings us a clean segue to what do you do about the Thanksgiving Day game? Do you try to hold back a little bit?
No, they won't. They didn't do it last time.
No, I know they won't.
Plus, they have 9 days between games, right?
Right.
So they're not going to. No, they're going to want to go undefeated like they did 2 years ago.
So this year, Melrose gets the bye, and the Central team plays the South. So, that's a good thing. So obviously, this time of year, you're always going to have a few players who are nicked up a little bit and get a chance to heal and rest. So that's a good thing. And if they're still hurt a little, they don't have to play in the Thanksgiving Day game.
I'm not sure about Cusalito now. One of his legs was bothering him at the end of the game. I don't know what the problem was.
I thought I saw him in a picture using crutches, but that could be anything.
I thought it was a cramp, the way it looked, the way he was walking, because they put him back out there, and then he had another 18-yard run, and then they took him out, and he was really limping but they were stretching his leg out. It looked like, I think it could have been a cramp.
Well, certainly going to be a lot of excitement at Gillette, which I think is on the 7th of December.
Yeah, I think we might be doing a game too.
I think I'm conveniently out of town at a baby shower. So,
where? Not in Texas, is it?
No, it's in New York City. Oh. So anyway, I get out a lot nowadays. We'll be right back.
In the end zone, touchdown, Melrose.
Well, it's ironic that despite still holding on to the ESPN #1 power rating, Patriots somehow seem like they're a 500 team right now, barely able to beat the Eagles, while the Ravens go stomping all over the Houston Texans like they're not even playing them, 41-7. We have Bill Belichick in the post-game conference talking for something like 7 minutes and 1,100 words, and Tom Brady on the stand for a minute and a half and 150 words, basically sulking because he's not the star of the team anymore. It's the defense. And I'm not saying Brady's gotten all the support he needs, but you're still the quarterback on the #1 team in the NFL. You don't have to be a baby about it.
And he still has 6 games to get that offense going. But I mean, you look at that team, Shelton and Guy were unbelievable after the first quarter.
Right. I mean, I think Guy in particular, ESPN had him listed as the #1 most underrated player on the Patriots. I mean, there's a bunch of players on the Patriots who are underrated. I think Jonathan Jones is really a terrific player who's underrated. And Terrence Brooks comes out of nowhere. He's a special teams player and did really well with 7 tackles and filled in admirably for Patrick Chung.
Yeah, Belichick likes him. It was a good pickup for the Patriots. The secondary played well. They didn't play great. I thought that there were a lot of bad passes in that game for both teams.
Right. Well, the Patriots are 17th in yards of total offense, but 3rd in scoring. Now, some of that's because of the defense, but defensively, they're #1 in yards allowed, #1 in points allowed, and #1 by far in turnover differential at +18. They've got 28 takeaways against only 10 turnovers. And, Brady's has the 20th ranked quarterback rating right now. And, he's at the beginning of his career, he was a game manager. And toward the end of his career, he needs to be an effective game manager again. And that's fine. I mean, we care who wins. It's not about, Brady threw for 505 yards against the Eagles in the Super Bowl before, and then they ended up losing. What good is that?
Yeah, you don't really care about what's happened. They're 9-1 right now.
Right.
You care what happens in the next 6 games when you go forward. I think what they have to start doing with the ends, their ends are big. Start throwing in them one-on-one and let the receivers outfight the defensive back. Let them know in practice that, listen, we're going to take shots here. We're going to throw, back shoulder passes. We're going to throw it up. If you're one-on-one, you got to make sure that you outfight the defensive player. You don't want them intercepting the ball.
Well, Edelman made a great defensive play to prevent one interception late. He dropped the touchdown in the end zone.
Oh, I mean, anybody could have caught that. That was a shame.
Yeah,
and that's happened a couple of times this year where they've had people in the end zone wide open. They dropped the ball. I mean, that was big for Brady, too, to get that touchdown pass, to feel good about the offense.
But, whether it was because the receivers couldn't get enough separation, or I think it was just the Eagles had so much pressure on Brady. He had no time at all to throw.
But he threw a lot of his passes that were short, sideline type passes,
right,
were bouncing before. I think it's getting to him mentally. I mean, in the first quarter, the pass he threw to Edelman that just went a little too far, that would have been a big play.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know if Edelman didn't really reach for it properly, but that wasn't a connection. The pass in the end zone that Edelman dropped was bad. I mean, Brady had Dorsett one time when they did that flea flicker, and he didn't lead him.
Well, but Edelman was wide open short on that.
He was wide open short. I said the same thing. You're running that play. When you run that play, the linebackers are biting on that. Cornerbacks will stay with the receiver, basically. And Edelman was right in the middle. Why didn't Brady see him?
Well, the big plays, they had Burkhead got I don't know what you call it, the pitch forward for 30 yards. And then maybe the most valuable player of the day was, again, Jake Bailey, the punter, constantly
did a great job
burying the Eagles inside their 15-yard line. So,
but, they played at Philly. The one thing over the weekend that made me feel good is Houston stinks. Their secondary is horrible. So when the Patriots go there, you got to figure, I thought that was going to be a tough game for them going down there. But Houston now has 4 losses, I think. Yeah, they have 4 losses now. And they play Houston down there. They should win that game. I think the toughest game right now is going to be when Kansas City comes in.
Right.
But if Hill is out, Patriots will handle them. You know, they could go, I mean, they can go 14-2 for the year. They can go 15-1.
Well, Kansas City has a lot of speed. I mean, they're
But if Hill is out, that really hurts them.
well,
Because all they have to do there is watch out for Watkins. Other than that,
right. Well, they've got, I think it's Williams, the running back, who's fast, but he's not, hasn't been a great receiver. But anyway, Kansas City, you know, we got to respect them. The Raiders are still tied with the Chiefs. I think we're a half game behind, whatever. But they're still in the hunt. And, you know, overall, the Patriots are still doing a lot of good things. After the Patriots fell behind 10-0, but after that, the defense they gave up nothing.
and I think Baltimore's going to lose at least one more game. They have to play San Fran. They have to play Cleveland at Cleveland. They have to play the Rams this week at LA. So the Rams have a very good defense.
Well, I mean, winning is supposed to be hard. In the NFL, winning on the road is always hard. The Patriots will still have Buffalo at home, which will be a tough game.
You'll win that, though. You got to think Buffalo at home.
Well, you should win that.
They should win that convincingly.
But, you know, the big thing is the Patriots want to have home field advantage in the playoffs. That's when their best years, they've had home field advantage through the playoffs.
Well, you got to look at it. Their last 3 games are against Buffalo, Cincinnati, and Miami, right? Yeah, I think that's the way it goes. Miami at home.
Buffalo and Miami, the last 2, I think.
And
right.
Cincinnati's the game before that.
Right.
So they're 9 now, so there's 12. There's 12. Dallas should be 13. Houston should be 14. And Kansas City's the game. They'll either go 15-1 or 14-2.
Wow, it's really easy.
Very easy.
It's easy to win on paper, harder to play win. Now, there was supposed to be a big Rob Gronkowski press release today, announcement. It was basically a nothing burger. Gronkowski's going to host some kind of pregame beach something.
Does he understand no one cares? I don't know if he really understands that. And he's aggravating more and more people, too.
Well, he's not coming back. Everybody thinks, I mean, he lost a lot of weight. If he wants to go to the gym to run on the treadmill, he can, but he doesn't have to kill himself anymore.
But who really cares about him running a party in Super Bowl weekend?
I guess Fox and whoever's sponsoring it. So, I mean, more power to him. With all the surgery he's had, and all the concussions he's had, he can feel comfortable about walking away, and you know, there's no shame in that. Always a lot of interesting games in the NFL. Like, you hear these discussions about, is Phillip Rivers a Hall of Fame quarterback?
He stinks.
And then you watch a game like the other night, and you say,
what has he ever really done?
I don't know. I mean, he might be a Hall of Fame person. He's got about 10 kids. He commutes to San Diego to you know, he's got some van and a driver, and he's got a television set.
But that's a guy you got stuck with for all these years, San Diego. It's a guy you get stuck with. He's not a winner. He doesn't come through in the big games.
I know, but I don't understand the whole Phillip Rivers thing, the cult of Phillip Rivers. Like, Eli Manning won the Super Bowl twice. So what can you say? I mean, I guess that's longevity, and 2 Super Bowl wins is going to get him into the Hall of Fame.
But I remember 3 years ago when I thought Alabama got stuck with Hurt. Watching him as a freshman, playing terrible against Clemson. I'm saying they're stuck with this guy for the next 3 years. And then it works out. And then they get a quarterback coach last year that worked with him all year. He becomes a star. He's going to be a number 1 draft pick next year.
He goes to Oklahoma. And the other day, I see the score is like 28-7, and Baylor's just blowing them out. And then I get back to the hotel, and Oklahoma's winning because of Jalen Hurts. I mean, what can you say? I mean, not enough bad things can happen to Baylor anyway.
Yeah.
Baylor's always kind of ne'er-do-well.
That's a shame, though, that they didn't win that game. Baylor.
So
that was a tough loss for them. They were undefeated, too. I mean, that would have got them up to maybe about 6th or 7th.
Well, LSU is the consensus number 1. Then we have Ohio State at 2. Clemson has moved up to 3. And then it's a scramble for 4. To me, Alabama's still better than Georgia, but Georgia's in the 4th spot.
Yeah, but
right
how's
now.
that kid now, the quarterback? What's his name?
Well, Tua's out, and they're
Yeah.
going to have the backup quarterback is a kid named Mac Jones, who's still be good. So
what year is he in?
I don't even know, but I'm sure they're still going to be really
Well, who are you
competitive.
picking to win it?
Clemson.
Yeah, me too.
The
Lawrence
kid-
is starting to throw the ball really well.
Yeah, the kid Lawrence is really good.
Did you see the game the other day?
No.
He threw a pass in the end zone. It had to be in the exact spot he threw it to, high and away from the defensive player. He put it exactly where he wanted to when he threw a bullet. He was throwing bullets the whole game. I mean, he's back to where he was last year. They're going to be tough to beat.
Well, I wanted to believe in Minnesota. They had been
Iowa.
and then of course Minnesota loses.
Yeah, they
So-
played a good team in Iowa.
I know, but if you want to get recognition, you got to keep winning. So,
There's some real good games. But I'm rooting for Clemson now. If Alabama's my favorite team. Well, Penn State's number 1. And then Alabama.
well, I like Alabama because they're on TV here every week now. I mean, they're always on, even if they're playing a bad team.
You know, how about BC? They're never on TV. They're on a stupid ACC station. I don't get it. Do you?
No. So,
And they're playing Notre Dame this week.
well, that's not going to go well.
At Notre Dame.
Well, they've won
They
there before.
they play them well.
Right.
If they can run the ball, it'll be a half-decent game. It's funny, when they run the ball against teams that are okay, they run it really well. When they go up against good defenses, they
Well,
get
what's
shut down.
interesting, their basketball program they've been so-so. I mean, they're trying to rebound, but their star player went undrafted, Kai Bowman, and he got picked up by the Warriors. And of course, he happened to get there right as Thompson's out and Curry breaks his hand. So he's getting minutes and averaging around double figures, learning the pro game. Pro game is so much different than college game as far as pick and roll offensively and defensively. And he can make threes. So that's all part of the pro
Yeah.
game. So it should be interesting. In the NFC, 49ers, great defense, and Garoppolo's doing enough.
I think it's going to be New Orleans, even though they had that tough loss against Atlanta 2 weeks ago. Atlanta played another great game Sunday.
I know everybody gives up on Atlanta, and then they win 2 games in
But
a row.
I think it's going to be coming out of the NFC. I think it's going to be New Orleans. I think it's going to be New Orleans against the Pats.
That could be tough sledding. Be a good game, though.
Yeah.
Well,
But they-
first you got to get by Baltimore. Baltimore's had their number over the years.
But I think Baltimore with Jackson, I think playing that game against them, and you look at that game, I mean, they played poor football, the Patriots, and a couple of bad Edelman fumbling the ball. I mean, you can look at things, four things. They're going to kick a field goal on their first drive. They jump offside the Patriots, give them a first down, first and goal, they score a touchdown. There's 4 points they shouldn't have had. You have White at the end of the first half was going in for a touchdown, trips over his own player, his lineman's leg, wide open, falls down at the 4, crawls a little, and they hit him. Now they have to kick a field goal. There's 8 points right there.
Then
Okay.
Edelman's touched.
Edelman's, the Patriots are going to go, well, they're in the 30-yard line of Baltimore. Edelman fumbles the ball. They run it back 65 or 70 yards for a touchdown. Right. There's 7 points there. So there's 15 points there. But the thing that really disappointed me most in that game, the Patriots had 3 real good drives in a row. One at the end of the first half when White's tripped. That should have been a touchdown. Edelman's fumble. Patriots come back and score a touchdown the next drive. Baltimore gets the ball, hold the ball for over 8 minutes. Brady and the offense, they're feeling great about themselves. They've moved the ball 3 times in a row, and they have to sit there. I think it was over 8 minutes.
Well, I mean, they made Mark Ingram look like a Hall of Famer. I mean,
But after the beginning of the game, when they were down 17-0, they played really well until those 2 drives in the second half.
well, it's as I'm sure Belichick told them, too much bad football in that game.
But look at what the tight ends did against them. It was the tight ends more than Jackson. The tight ends were incredible in that game. They were catching all the big passes. You got to think that the Patriots play them again, they're going to shut that down. I think the Pats, especially if the Pats played them at home. I mean, even though Baltimore beat them and the Patriots lose one game and Baltimore wins out, Baltimore gets the home field advantage. Pats, I don't think they're going to lose. And even if they lose one game, Baltimore's going to lose one. When they go on the road and play these tough teams, it's not going to be the same as it was at home. And if they're going to go by the Patriot game, playing that great game, basically the Patriots didn't play well.
Well, there you have it, Ralph. Guaranteed.
Pats against New Orleans, and the Pats will win 24-17.
Wow. That'd be really good. Also in college football, there was really interesting discussion the other day about what's the most important asset or resource a player has, whether it's hockey or basketball or football. And they were interviewing the Bruins coach. And he was saying, some people will talk about toughness and some people will talk about skating, but at the end of the day, it's ultimately your IQ, your understanding of the game that determines whether you're a great player or just a really good player. And so they were talking about how, for example, if you look at skills, Grzelcyk, they say, is a great skater, and Marchand has great puck control. But they said nobody is as heady a player as Bergeron is. And they said that's what made him such a great player through the years.
Well, in our next segment, we can talk about that when we talk about the Celtics, because I got a couple of things to say about the Celtics. You know, what happens in games, and that can go down to even high school players. You know, what affects them and what shouldn't affect them. And you know, but we can talk about that part of it. But, you know, Bergeron, of course. I mean, if you had to pick one player, you know, I mean, in Boston, you have Bergeron, you have Brady, you know, you had Larry Bird.
Well, Bobby Orr.
Bobby Orr, back to Bobby Orr.
But
I mean, if you're going to go that far back, Bobby Orr was the greatest hockey player ever.
Yeah, I don't think you really can
quickly,
debate that.
Quickly, the top player in all four sports. Could you think of it right off the bat in all four sports in Boston history?
Well, I think for baseball, you have Ted Williams. For football, I'd say Brady. For basketball, Bill Russell. And hockey, Bobby Orr.
Yeah,
so
I would go with those too.
It's hard to argue much against that. But I mean, there's been a lot of great players, but those players are, you know, they're going to stand up as timeless. We'll be right back. Well, Celtics are on the West Coast swing. Always a pleasure getting to stay up to watch late night basketball. Some of the teams are not so compelling right now with Golden State with injuries, and they have a game coming up with the Clippers, which will be really interesting. Unfortunately, Marcus Smart gets bitten by the injury bug again.
How long's he out for? Do you know?
I haven't heard. So
What was his leg?
Was that a sprained ankle?
Oh,
I don't think that was that bad, but you know, we'll see.
he should have sprained his ankle with about a minute to go in the Sacramento game.
Yeah, I mean, I think so often in the NBA for these West Coast trips, it's about going out and playing hard every game. And because most players, most teams, they're going to have a game where they just kind of, I won't say mail it in, but they don't have maximal effort. I mean, I get it. They play over 80 games, but
Well, you saw the difference in the Sacramento game and the Phoenix game. The way they came out with playing defense in the Phoenix game compared to the Sacramento game when they let it heal, hit those wide open 3-point shots. They weren't even covering them. And that's what aggravated me the most.
Yeah, against Phoenix, they made a commitment to stop Devin Booker, who scored 70 against them a couple of years ago. Booker can really shoot. And if you let these guys who are the 3-point shooters get heated up, then you got troubles. So you can never really let them make 3 in a row, or else they're going to just go wild and shut you down. So they got up on him. And a player who made a big difference, who didn't play against Sacramento but was excellent against Phoenix, was Grant Williams. He's tough. He had a couple of blocks inside.
He played well in that game. He had been disappointing in the previous games. You know, he hasn't had a 3-point shot all year. He's 0 for 13.
I know, he's on the Ben Simmons track.
You know, and but they said he was a pretty good shooter. He just hasn't hit. So he's not giving them much offense. You know, Ojelay's been playing pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
He's hit 4 3-pointers in the last 2 games. But, you know, you get back to when you're talking about IQ, you know, playing with an IQ. And I say Smart has a very good basketball IQ. He gets a little crazy at times, but he understands the game well. I mean, by telling Tatum to steal that tip, you know, in the game against Golden State, was it?
I think so.
But what is he thinking about? When you're talking about IQ, you're playing a game. Walker misses the shot with 12 seconds to go, okay, against Sacramento. Smart flies in here and gets the rebound. When you're up in the air, like you're talking about a smart player, if you're really locked in and using your head, as you're up in the air going for that rebound, you're saying, okay, I come down with this rebound, I'm pushing it out. I'm dribbling the ball out, I'm getting away from traffic. They foul me, I hit 2 foul shots. Instead, he gets in there, he makes a nice play, gets the rebound. With a 7-foot guy standing right there, he goes up and tries to score. They knock the ball away. He tussles the big guy for the ball, gets called for a foul. Now, you're talking about a basketball IQ. Anybody, if you're watching the game, I don't know, did you watch the game?
No, I didn't see that game.
I'm watching the game. I'm saying, what is he doing? And everybody else, you know, people I talked to in work, they said he should have just dribble the ball out away from the basket, push the ball, let him foul him, would have been under 10 seconds. They're up a point, and they have 2 foul shots. Instead, he does what a high school kid would do.
Well, he's become a high-volume three-point shooter. He's shooting something like 38% from three-point, which is one of the better averages on the team. And I mean, he's making them. And I mean, his form is reasonable. And when he's not taking him off the dribble, I think if he's just shooting off the catch, he's okay.
He's been good. In that game, he was 2 for 16 too. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, then he missed that shot.
Yeah, everybody has days when they
But
just
I'm not
can't
even
make
upset
'em.
about him going 2 for 16. I'm missing that last shot. I'm upset because he didn't, knowing him, he should have understood that. Get the rebound and get out of there.
He's one of the toughest players I've ever seen, probably in any sport. I mean, just as far as his ability to come up with loose balls and offensive rebounds and crazy situations where he just rips the ball out of people's hands. He's kind of a unique player.
He's playing with more confidence now than he ever has. I think he thinks that he could average 15 a game, which I'd love to see with his defense. I mean, he has to be one of the top 5 defense players in basketball.
Yeah, I mean, if he were on the Patriots and playing outside linebacker, he'd probably be one of the top linebackers in football. Same thing with Ogilvy. Can you imagine Ogilvy like a free safety? The guy's like 6'7", 245, and fast and just enormous.
But he's having a good year. How about Baines? How much weight has he lost? He had to lose like 40 pounds.
I don't know. He's up there in the PER rating as well. He's up in the top 20. He's done a really great job for Phoenix.
He's averaging 16 points, which is amazing. But he's much quicker now.
Yeah, he's a terrific defender. He gets up in the air and with 2 hands and is really tough around the rim defensively.
Celtics could usually, but I think he's going to be a free agent after this year.
Could be. I mean, they couldn't do anything. They were boxed in by contracts.
Walker's got to stop playing better. He's playing good, but he's been missing a lot of shots early in games. He's got to start hitting those shots. I mean, he's one of the best shooters in basketball.
I think he's underrated going to the hoop.
He had a very good game last night.
Yeah, he's very deceptive. He does these up and under moves, and I don't think they regret having him at all. The chemistry is much better on the team. I'm sure all the players would say that. Although, I mean, Kyrie's putting up big numbers in Brooklyn, but they're losing. So
no, Kyrie, you don't even want to.
So
he's ridiculous. But they still need Hayward back. They need that player.
Right. Well, there's a lot of interesting things going on in the league. Houston is really hot in the West. James Harden's averaging 39 points a game and over 7 assists a game. Harden's always working on new stuff that confounds defenders. I mean, I guess the knock on Harden has been his playoff performance. And then the other guy that, nobody really knew for sure what you were going to get, but I don't know if he's going to be the next Larry Bird. Maybe he's going to be the next Larry Bird, is Luka Doncic on the Mavericks. I mean, he's not the fastest guy. He's pretty big. He can really pass.
Great
he can really
shooter.
shoot.
He does it all. He's smart.
Yeah.
And he's so young.
Well, he signed a professional contract in the Euro League when he was 13. So he didn't get training in AAU or high school. He got training in the Euro League. So now that he's almost full grown, I mean, he's really a load. The other day, he's the second player under 21 to score over 40 and have a triple-double. And the other player who's done that was LeBron James. So you're in pretty select company if you do that sort of thing.
Whoever drafted him did a good, I mean, whoever the person was that goes to Europe and scouts, I mean, it's unbelievable that they picked him. That was an excellent pick.
And then Carmelo Anthony, I couldn't believe this when I looked up this today. He signed for to play with Portland. Portland's had some scoring issues, which you wouldn't expect with Lillard and McCollum. But how old do you think he is, Carmelo Anthony?
He's got to be the same age as LeBron. No. Yeah, didn't he come out with?
Well, he's 35, so I thought he'd be 37 or 38. Seems like he should be older, but.
Didn't he come out the year LeBron did? He played 1 year with Syracuse?
Yeah, I'm not sure. So, but he's 35. So the problem with Carmelo is he's unrealistic. If you talk about, you have to come off the bench, he'll look at you like, what are you talking about? You're talking to Carmelo Anthony? Carmelo doesn't come off the bench.
It's a bad move by any team picking him. He's terrible now. He's a terrible teammate. Doesn't play defense.
I know when there was talk about the Celtics getting him a few years ago. I don't want any part of that. There was an interesting stat on the game last night. The opponent's field goal percentage with Tatum on the court versus Tatum off the court. Did you see that?
No.
With Tatum off the court, the opponents this year are shooting 46% against the Celtics. With Tatum on the court, they're shooting 41%. Now, Tatum's really long, so maybe he's bothering outside shots, but give him credit. The stats are the stats. And, I do think that he's playing better overall. I mean, I'll throw out the game when he was 1 for 18, but overall he's not taking these long twos like he was. He's taking threes and trying to get to the rim.
Yeah, he is. He's getting to the rim, which I preach and forget about all those outside shots. Take the ball to the rim as much as you can. Less fast breaks for the other team, higher percentages hitting your shot, higher percentage of getting fouled, getting teams in foul trouble. So, and they're doing that. They've been successful doing that. But Tatum's getting his points because I think he's shooting the ball even more than Walker is. He's taking a lot of shots, Tatum.
He is, but with Hayward out, somebody else to pick up more shots.
You want that guy who's a scorer.
Right.
He's been making a lot more good passes this year than he did last year. Last year, you can count one hand how many good passes he made. This year, he's made a number of good passes.
So if you said, what players are you really happy with or who are giving you more than you expected this year? Well, I would say for me, the number one player is Wanamaker. Wanamaker is coming off the bench, and he's a useful player. I mean, he'll give you 8 to 10 points, takes care of the basketball.
He takes care of the basketball.
Usually.
You see some of his passes? No one's standing there and he's throwing passes. You know what the thing with him is? Even though he had an experience in Europe, I think once he gets more experience playing steady minutes as he's playing now, guys like him will keep improving. He'll get more comfortable because he has talent. He's tough as nails.
Well, remember Bruce Bowen. When he was in the Celtics, he's nothing. Then he goes to San Antonio and he wins 3 championships.
I think you're right about him. Per minute, he's making too many stupid mistakes. He gets himself in trouble. Sometimes he'll drive. He won't know what to do with the ball and end up losing it. I mean, one big play in one of the games on the road, he threw the ball and there was no one standing there. But like you said, the more he plays, the better he's going to get. As the year goes on, I think he's going to be a real steady player because he's tough. He plays hard-nosed defense. He'll take the ball to the hoop strong. But he's got to go through those experiences because he hasn't had them in the NBA.
Right. If you watch NBA games, what you'll see is a guy drives baseline, there's always going to be a guy who sinks to the opposite corner for the 3. If a guy gets penetrating from the corner to the lane line, there's going to be guys at both so-called slot lane line extended out at 3, so that you know where the guy's going to be. They're just there because they're always looking to set up 3-point shots.
Oh, yeah.
And I like to sell, like as you said, without Horford, guys are getting more opportunities, even though Horford was, touted to be a great passer and so forth. All that being said, they're still getting better shots than they were getting last year.
I'd like to see the first round pick. Was it Langdon? Is it Langdon?
Langford. He's always hurt.
But he's healthy now. I'd like to see them give him a
I
chance.
thought he just sprained his ankle again.
He sprained it again?
Yeah, he can't stay healthy. And Edwards so far hasn't been able to find the range consistently. I mean,
right.
he has some hot moments.
Yeah.
Now, the Red Sox, what do you say? They've got a new general manager or director of baseball operations in Chaim Bloom, and we'll see how it goes. I think they're sort of looking at, let's get the best players we can get available at the cheapest price. So they're not going on a need basis. They're just trying to build the whole roster, and then they'll figure it out from there.
Well, you look at the Red Sox, and there's hope there. I mean, to me, there's the 3 big ifs in the starting rotation.
Right.
Seal, Price, and Evaldi. If all 3 of them are healthy, they're going to be right there. If 2 of those 3 don't have a real good year, they're not healthy, they're going to be terrible again. I mean, not terrible.
Well, I mean, aside
in the
from
middle of the pack.
Aside from Rodriguez, I mean, the rest of those guys won like 33 games. And Porcello's, people talk like, oh, he's got to reestablish value. He's going to have to take a bargain contract, so-called pillow contract. He's going to make $10 million somewhere. So I don't have to feel sorry for Porcello.
No. I mean, Martinez coming back is huge. They don't trade Betts, that's huge. I mean, they're going to have one of the best batting orders.
Do you think they're going to trade Betts?
I don't think they will. I mean, if they give them the offer, if they say, okay, let's give them an offer 10 years, which they won't, say 8 years at $300 million,
It's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money. I mean, I think I would do that nowadays because it's just going to go higher and higher, the salaries. So if you can get them for 8 years.
Well, the problem is when you get locked into long-term contracts for guys who you're saying, like, why do I have this guy? Like Stanton,
The Yankees make bonehead moves. I mean, he made good deals, Cashman, but Stanton's killing them. And another guy that's killing them too is Sanchez. I would trade Sanchez because he's not going to come through in the playoffs. It's in his head. He's not a good fielding catcher. He's got a good arm. He'll hit for maybe 2 weeks. He'll hit and they'll say, wow, he's one of the best hitters.
Well, I mean, I think the general consensus is the Yankees will get either Garrett Cole or Steven Strasburg, which that would
either
fill
one of them would be unbelievable.
That'll fill exactly what they need. And, I think Red Sox fans are going to have to be realistic. The Red Sox have outspent the Yankees. The Red Sox became what the Yankees were always criticized for. This big spending team, and if they won, it was because of the money. Well, that's what the Red Sox did.
Well, the thing there is if the Yankees get one of those 2 top pitchers with Paxton and Severino and Hermain coming back next year, and the other Hab, will be a pretty good 4th or 5th starter. McLaughlin's coming back, too. You look at that pitching staff, if they get one of them, they'll be able to match the Red Sox if the Red Sox 3 pitchers are healthy.
Okay,
got to be some battle.
What's the over-under number for games that Dustin Pedroia is going to play this coming season?
It's either going to be 20 or 120. It's going to be one of the 2.
Yeah,
if he's healthy,
I'll say 10. So, I mean, I don't see him coming back. I just don't understand how, if you had this much damage to your knee that's been irreparable over a couple of seasons.
But nowadays they can't.
He's already had it. He's had 1 million surgeries. He's had this, that, the other thing. I'm not criticizing. I don't think he should, walk away from the money. He should continue to do. I mean, he likes playing the game.
If he comes back healthy, if he does, there's another if. I mean, he's going to add to the team because you could see at second base, so many balls were getting through that infield that he would have just eaten up. Plus, he's a spark, so That's a key. If he
I mean, they
comes
have
back
no
healthy-
second baseman right now. I mean, period. You know, Chavis isn't a second baseman. He's I don't know. He's a first baseman, a third baseman, a DH. But
Yeah.
I mean, he was okay there, but he's not a great fielder.
But they'll be right in it. But there's ifs there. They got to be healthy. They got the talent.
Well, you know, there's a lot of discussion about, you know, who's going to play first base next year, who's going to play second base. They're pushing Bobby Dahlbeck, who's only played 30 games in AAA. He's a guy he's going to strike out. He'll be one of these guys who, if he played every day, he'd strike out 175 times, hit 230 with 25 homers, and walk a lot. They got a guy, I want to say it's Ogilvy. It's not Ogilvy, down at AAA, he's another guy who hits home runs and gets on base, but he can't field at all.
They always come up with a big player like Devers. You know, no one thought they were going to. Everybody was saying they don't have anybody in the minor leagues, and look what they come up with. One of the best hitters in baseball right now.
Yeah, Devers, I think, finished 6th in the MVP vote. Trout won, not surprisingly. Who did he beat out? The Astros third baseman.
Bergman.
Yeah. So, I mean, but I think the big news to look forward over the next couple of weeks are what happens with the Astros, because they're going to get a big punishment, and whether Alex Cora is tied into that.
He is.
He's going to get a big fine.
Where it is, he is.
Yeah, no, I mean, how could he not be?
Yeah.
So we'll see. Easy come, easy go. $250,000 fine. Well, I've enjoyed being with you tonight. I'm Ron Sen.
And I'm Ralph LaBella, and thank you for watching Let's Talk Sports.